These are days for rejoicing, Ancient One.
People of Kattegat! I am mine for the boneless! All hail your new king!
Everything is becoming darker. We shall all of us go into the dark.
After the defeat, Lagertha, Ube, Björn left Kattegat in a hurry.
We were hunting them. They escaped. Why would I betray you?
Because you are back in England.
I agreed to give you refuge here if you were willing to fight with us against the armies of your countrymen. The sons of King Ragnar Lothbrok. On our side, prepared to fight for us.
Be very careful what you say about me, Witzer.
Why? Will you kill me next?
I don't belong here. I want to take Kattegat back from Alva.
You will never overcome Kattegat.
I'm going to kill him.
Are we afraid to die? Not me! Welcome home, guys! Welcome home!
King Alfred is in trouble. There are those who want to overthrow him.
I pray that none of you will betray me now.
You can't do this. I thought you loved me.
Brother will fight against brother, and the world will be wrecked.
The gods are not here! They're not here!
May I ask, why are you here now in person? Because I miss the old place.
So a new trailer for Vikings Season 5B recently came out at Comic-Con, and it's quite full of new information and plot lines. So in the first few important shots we see Ivar in the same ceremony from the last trailer. Ivar is using the same fear tactics to control Kattegat. Ivar is seen in the Great Hall demanding allegiance from his followers, and you can tell it's him from the sun shields that he's put all over the Great Hall. Then the seer is dying, and the general theory seems to be that Floki will return to become the seer, but to be honest, that's quite a vague theory, and it hasn't really got much backing to it, especially not in the trailer. So I've always seen erecting a warrior statue in Kattegat with his shield, so maybe he's trying to make himself seem like a god. And the next couple shots are important characters, Lagertha, Uber collapsing, and Bjorn looking battle-weary, with blood on his face and bodies behind him, but this ties into a later shot. Witzerk and Harold then narrate how they escaped and went to England, and then we see how they made a deal with Alfred of Wessex in exchange for refuge to fight for King Alfred, and we see them at the battle from the previous trailer, where the Ring of Fire is shown. Interesting to note is the bishop flags and soldiers fighting for Alfred, so there might be a new leader introduced who perhaps might rival Hagemund. Ava is then seen training soldiers, and then another shot swinging his sword at Alfred at the battle site, which kind of suggests that he will be the main source of friction in the alliance between Alfred and the escaped Norsemen. The battle sequence with Hagemund leading troops, which we now know has Alfred on site, is probably a great victory for Alfred midway into the season, with Harold having pursued the sons of Ragnar to England, then falling into a trap. It seems they'll have to balance this defeat in some way, possibly killing a major character like Uber. It might also have Harold survive to confront Ivar about using his forces, especially as he was already doing that in the last season, in the last two battles with Lagertha in Season 5A. Rollo could also be pulling the strings, weakening Viking forces to have greater power over Ivar. So the next major plotline in the trailer is the continuation of the conflict between Witzerk and Ivar. So Ivor is seen threatening Witzek, who is seen another shot standing with Bjorn looking at Kattegat, suggesting he probably switched sides. This is probably due to the scene tactics that Ivar is using, sort of hanging people, using force to drag people out in several shots seen throughout, and it's quite clear that it's his soldiers using the terror tactics. This probably disillusions Witzek. Arguably the biggest new plotline from the trailer is the build up to the confrontation between Ivor and Bjorn. Ivor is seen building defenses, and then we see a fleet sailing up a river with the next shot of Bjorn at the head of the landed fleet. And then the trailer shows the actual battle where Bjorn is seen leading an assault, but Ivor is seen with a pretty strong defense and traps and the like. Bjorn is also seen in the same armor and face marking as the shot earlier when he was weary, meaning he might win but lose most of his army, he might lose the battle, or just one of his siblings like Witzek, in a sort of redeeming plotline where he's making up for supporting Ivar in the last season. So the England plotline has returned, and Lagertha warns of conflict for Alfred to maintain his throne. He's seen a shot with his brother, so there's a couple of possibilities from this. It's unlikely there's going to be a civil war because we probably would have seen clear evidence in the trailer, but there might be some kind of civil conflict. Again, it's as yet unclear. And then the next old plotline is Abba surrounded by warriors in some kind of fighting challenge, and then he's seen on another shot on the ground crawling in a sort of a similar space with Viking warriors around him with the same shields as the shot before. But the identity of who he's fighting is unknown, and as yet it's unclear, but it should be quite interesting to see who it is. So the last couple of plot lines are relatively minor. You've got Lagertha and Hageman relationship from the beginning of the trailer, and a shot claiming never to betray her, to her claiming the opposite in a late shot that he somehow betrayed her, probably through his new commitments to the church because he is still a bishop and that is one of the highest positions in the church at the time. And he's seen in sort of a bloodthirsty mad sequence that's clearly off any battle scene from the earlier shots, so it should be quite interesting. But as yet, it's unclear to where this plotline will lead. So the last shots are, we've got Floki in Greenland, essentially him realizing the gods aren't present. We see him with a sword at his throat because obviously he's going through with the idea of sacrificing himself. But then in another short montage of shots, we see how there's conflict has returned to Greenland, and that's when he realizes the gods aren't present, and it kind of suggests that the blood feud has re-emerged, and you see a few of the key figures from the two families who are killing each other, and there's sort of a body that's seen coming out of the ground, or that's found dead in the ground. And lastly, we see Rollo speaking to Harold. Since he barely appears on the trailer, it seems probable that the showrunners are sort of hiding that they'll play like a major role, because that has sort of been building up to in the last season with him sending an army to fight for Ivar. So yeah, overall quite an interesting trailer. Like, subscribe, and we'll see what's released next.